Hi, I'm Sarah Valenzuela, and in this video I will be speaking about instructional design. The first thing I will talk about is what instructional design means to me. So I would define instructional design as creating curriculum, and while doing so, taking into consideration the audience, the objectives, the goals of the learners, and the outcome of the instruction. It means gathering information about the topic that you are teaching and implementing artifacts relevant to that topic that will help the learners gain knowledge and succeed. So the next thing I will talk about is what I learned about instructional design so far. So the first thing I learned about is the history of instructional design and media, and it traced back to World War II when the psychologists and educators were called on to design training for the military. So that's when instructional design and media started. Then in the 1950s, behavior objectives were given a boost when Benjamin Bloom and his colleagues published Taxonomy of Educational Objectives, which I use a lot today. Bloom's taxonomy, the verbs to write objectives right now. Then also in the 1960s, Robert Meagher recognized the need to teach educators how to learn writing objectives. Then in 1965, Gagné published 9 Events of Instruction, which we also learned about in this course. So it's interesting to see that all of this that we use now dates back to the 1950s and the 1960s. And then in 1970 and 1980, the interest in instructional design began to grow in the military, in the business industry, and also in colleges. In 1990, there was focus on performance technology movement and also on constructivism. So the next thing that we learned about in this course is about the Dick and Carey model, which is an approach that helps instructional designers develop curricula through a series of 9 steps. Those 9 steps are: number 1, identifying instructional goals; number 2, conducting instructional analysis; number 3, analyze learners and context; number 4, writing performance objectives; number 5, developing assessment instruments; number 6, developing an instructional strategy; number 7, developing and selecting instructional materials; number 8, designing and conducting formative evaluation; and number 9, designing and conducting summative evaluation. So the next thing we read about was Gagné's 9 Events of Instruction. So Gagné was a behaviorist, and in behaviorism, the focus is on the outcomes or behaviors that result from training. So the 9 steps were: number 1, gain attention; number 2, inform learners of objectives; number 3, stimulate recall of prior learning; number 4, present the content; number 5, provide learning guidance; 6, elicit performance; 7, provide feedback; 8, assess performance; and number 9, enhance retention and transfer to the job. Next, we learned about the ADDIE framework. So ADDIE stands for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, and Evaluation. So this framework places emphasis on the learner rather than teacher-centered approach. So for the first letter, A, analysis, it's about target audience, analyzing what the learners already know and what they need to know at the end of the instruction. Next, for the design part, the designer is conducting research and planning. They identify the objectives, determine how they will be met, identify instructional strategies, and plan media and methods for the delivery of the objectives. Next is the development stage, which emphasizes drafting, production, and evaluation. So you develop or select media and materials and conduct formative evaluations. Next is the implementation part, and in this part you just continue to analyze, redesign, and enhance the product. Evaluation and revisions are necessary. Next, the last part is evaluation, which in this part you determine if the problem has been solved, if the objectives have been met, the impact of the product, and changes for future delivery. So the next thing that we learned about is the ARCS model, which stands for attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. So this model is mainly about the motivation of the students. So for the first one, attention is about gaining the students' attention through a range of simple, unexpected events to mentally stimulating problems that engage deeper level of curiosity. So also the students need a certain amount of variety to keep their attention. The next one is relevance, which is making the content relevant, because the motivation is lost if the content has no perceived value to the learner. So you should connect the content to important goals of the learners and academic requirements. Do that by using simulations, analogies, case studies, and examples related to the students' interests and experiences. The next thing is confidence. So to build the students' confidence, you make the objectives clear and provide many examples. Help the students attribute success to personal effort or ability rather than favoritism. Or last thing is satisfaction part. So you want to make sure the students are satisfied and have positive feelings about their accomplishments and learning experiences through intrinsic and extrinsic awards, such as grades, privileges, tokens of achievement. Also, it's important for them to feel a sense of equity and fairness, and for them to feel that the amount of work was appropriate for the course. So the last thing I will talk about is how this content can help me in my academic career moving forward. So my career is I'm going to be a teacher, so I will need to design instruction to teach the students. For my lesson plans, I can apply some of the instructional design methods that we learned in this course from the articles that we read that I spoke about. One of the methods that I look forward to using is the Gagne's 9 events of instruction to structure my lessons. It looks like if I follow that method, I will be able to create great lessons and they would be less complicated for me to write because I can just follow the 9 steps one by one. Another instructional design method that I feel would really help me with writing lesson plans is the ARCS model. The model is really great because it is all about motivating the students, which is very important to consider when creating the lesson plans. And another thing that I learned in this course that can help me with my career is how to create an infographic. We did an infographic about the history of instructional media and design, and I really loved how it came out. I created it on the website Canva, which was really cool website that is it's free and it allows you to create infographics, posters, invites, and other graphics. So for future lessons, I can use it as an assignment and have the students create a poster or another graphic and present it to the class. And that's all that I have for today in this video about instructional design. Hope you enjoyed it.